Janice Petersen. I am the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce here in Clinton. And we are going to help moderate this evening and just make sure that everybody has a good time. And if they have any questions, that all the candidates' questions get answered. I do want to let you know that the Chamber does not endorse any specific candidate. We are here just to help out the library.
And the library also does not endorse any specific candidate.
I think Janice covered it. Just to introduce myself, my name is Meghan Morge. I am the president of the Chamber Board. So, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and get started and get everybody a chance to tell us a little bit about themselves. We're going to go ahead and start with Seth. Why don't we go ahead and start with Seth? If you'd like to come on up and.
I'm Seth Reddington. I'm a 52-year-old male from Clinton, lifelong resident. I'm a union carpenter by trade, state certified welder through IDOT through the state, bridge builder, big buildings. Pretty much done all kinds of construction in my trade. Done it for 25, 26 years as a union carpenter. There's a lot here in town that I've helped with, volunteered with, the American Legion. I've done some stuff with the Eagles, Nazarene Church and their food banks. Usually if somebody asks me, I'll assist and lend a hand. I'm not in it for the glory, not in it to showboat. Just bring accountability and transparency to the community. That's about all I have for right now.
Does anyone have any questions for Seth?
Do you want us to go all the way through candidates and then ask questions at the end too? If it's just
We can do that also, that's fine too.
Okay.
So we reserve the right to ask you more questions later, how's that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Kelly? Hold on.
There's questions for you.
we should let you off free. If you're elected as mayor, what would be your priority to make Clinton a better place to live?
One of the first things that I would look at growing up, there was ball fields in town. The kids could go after school or in the summer and have a pickup game of baseball. Play Frisbee at those parks. We had 5 ball diamonds at one time. They were owned by the city. Where'd they go? There's 3 ball diamonds that are privately owned that the youth use right now. The people that have bought that, I've talked to them, they can still use those. But every community has their own ball diamonds. There's all kinds of things, you know, parks, putting grills at those, things like that. But for me, the kids need a place to go and play and enjoy themselves. My thing is why did they go away in the first place?
The kids are the ballparks.
Pardon me?
The kids are the ballparks.
Ballparks. Ballparks. Yes.
So then Seth, what's your opinion on park districts and starting one?
Well, to
Do you
answer
think that's the
that,
answer to it, or?
well, for years and years and years, there was money there for those parks to sustain them. If those parks went away, where did the money go? Was it budgeted? You know, spent differently?
Yeah.
If it was affordable at one time, how come it isn't now?
Once you find the answers to those questions, how do you plan on implementing your goal?
Well, at one point in time, we did have workers at the cemetery that took care of the parks. And that's when defunct, they went away with that.
Yeah, but how do you prevent the privatization of them? You said someone came in and bought them up. We don't have public parks.
No. There's 3 parks down at R.R. Donnelly, the old Wallace Press. Those are privately owned. They allow the children to play ball there.
Sure.
But the city never did own those
Okay.
at all. But they did have ballparks throughout the community. that are no longer here.
Sure.
Back in, I want to say 88, pretty close estimate, there was 22 employees, 21, 22 city employees.
We don't have near that much now, right?
No. Right now, between the water and the street department, roughly 11.
Wow.
So that's a huge reduction in workforce, but yet the city's the same size. So that, to me, that needs looked into and addressed. At one point in time, there was a huge summer help. I don't know if it's because of insurance that they don't continue to do that, but.
Okay, so my name is Kelly Harvey. I'm a 13-year resident of Clinton. I am running for Clinton because I genuinely want to make Clinton better. I have 5 children. 3 were adopted from foster care, and we're very involved in the community. I am the first person to jump in and say, how can I help you? If someone says, I need a volunteer, you would often find me out there volunteering. For the last 3 years, I've been the outreach chair at Clinton United Methodist Church. So with that responsibility came organizing the Clinton Easter egg hunt on the square. I know lots of kids have attended that. I've also done the back to school bash. We did it in conjunction with Lane Christian Church this year. So we were able to give, I want to say it was close to 200 low-income kids backpacks. We did a carnival, we did haircuts. And then we also helped support over 300 kids getting Christmas through Chloe's Giving Heart, and we've donated to Anti-Dragons. So I've done a lot of mission work through our church. Kids are really at the heart of my passion. Sorry guys. So I have 5 kids that I want to stay around here. This town has so much potential. But there's not much for kids, unfortunately. So we don't have a lot of parks. We don't have the ball fields anymore. I have my kids actively involved in sports, so that definitely is an issue. The boys were able to play out at the R.R. Donnelly fields, but the girls, we had to go to Appella. They weren't allowed to play on the R.R. Donnelly fields. So I know that Clinton is looking at getting a softball field at Webster Park, is what Commissioner Ballinger had let me know. Sorry, but yeah, so my goal is to have more things for the kids in our town. Things to do. We have the vault. That is something that I have definitely supported through our church. My oldest son attends the vault, so I think we need more things like that in the community. Park District would give opportunities for things like soccer. Right now, my 6th grader does not fit into the K-5 soccer that the Y would do. So there's no sports outside of the sports that he would have to try out for in junior high locally. So that means we travel and we pay Decatur money, we pay Bloomington money to do the sports districts at other towns. So I think that if we brought Park District here, we could have those sports, and I think that would actually be pretty profitable. Other things that I think would be good would be bringing more businesses. I love that we have the yarn store, we have the fish store, the square is getting revitalized. We love the freeze-dried candies. My kids go to that store all the time to get treats. Sweet Maze has been great. I love that our town is starting to get these small little pop-up shops, and I would love an opportunity to help bring more businesses into town. I was a director of marketing for 2 different companies in my professional career. In 2020, I stepped away during COVID. I have 5 kids, so it was hard to find daycare for 5 kids. So I became a stay-at-home mom at that point, and really got involved, active in our community. So I went back to college, so I'm getting ready to graduate with a degree in respiratory therapy. So that is something that I'm very passionate about. We'll pursue that. And with that medical experience, I am love the idea of being mayor because you can collaborate with John Warner. I have a lot of good ideas as being the director of marketing of a medical company, as well as now being on the clinical side of it, of how we can expand services at John Warner Hospital. And I think it's a gem in town, and I don't think any of the other candidates have really spoken to the potential of what that hospital can do for us. And then I want to improve transparency and communication in the city. I know that Seth spoke to that. I think there's a lot of ways that we can get information out to the citizens, and I think that everyone can say that maybe that's not the best thing going on for the city right now. So social media, more postings. Again, marketing was my background, so I cannot wait to get involved in that. So I don't know, that's kind of me. Do you guys have questions?
Hello, hello. I'm Douglas England. I've lived in Clinton my whole life almost, and I run it for mayor because I plan on living here the rest of my life. I'd like it to be a wonderful place to live, not just for me, but for everybody else as well. One of my big focuses, what I'm interested in, and I know it's been touched on tonight pretty heavily, is communication, right? You can come to the city council meeting and you can hear everything that's going on, but to be honest, not a lot of people show up. A lot more people on social media, and I think that's something that we could make use of to get information to the community. And not only to give information to the community, but to get it as well. Everyone here has great ideas about how to improve the city. I think that we could really make use of that, put out surveys and polls for people in order to get more information to see how people want to see change in their community, right? Everyone wants to see some change, and I think that would be a great way to implement that.
Questions for Doug?
So Doug, so you're talking about social media. Are you currently active on social media? And if you are not, how is that going to translate when you...
I'm active on social media, yes. Use several platforms, the TikTok and Instagram and Facebook.
How do you plan on handling everybody's chaotic ideas once they inevitably come in?
Well, I'd like to get polls set up. That's something I've been working on in my free time, is getting a survey set up for the community, touching on some of the main focal points, and then sort of focusing in on from there.
Sure. So like if we clearly all want more community jobs, we want more economic growth. Let's say you find that out, how would you go about implementing it?
Well, that just depends on what the problem is with the community, right? There are a lot of people, especially within our commissioners, who are well informed of that, and I'd like to rely on them pretty heavily.
Another question, did you touch on your background? Like what's your job background?
Sure, yeah. I work in legal IT. I do computer work. That's why the social media especially.
Yeah, you probably would be, yeah. Okay.
Anything else for Doug? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so Robert Kreitler, most of you, if you've known me for any length amount of time, you're my friends and all that and family, it's Bobby. You'll still see people going out there, hey Bobby, how's it going, hey, what's up, you know. But most commonly people call me Bob. You know, when you're 42 years old, Bobby's kind of a little, you know, you're this guy, not me anymore. But anyway, I have lived just outside of Clinton for the first 24 years of my life. I moved into town when I got married to my first wife. I was with her for about 10 years, and then we divorced. I stuck around in town because why leave? It's a great place to be. I can go to Bloomington. I can work in Bloomington, live in Clinton. I can work in Clinton. I can go to Bloomington. I can hit up shops up there if I want to. I can go to Champaign if you have kids that want to go there. You have multiple universities right within easy driving distance for your kids to attend. They come home on the weekends. or you can go visit them on the weekends. Or, if you want to slide out when they slide in, it works out, because they come home to do their laundry and everything, just raid your refrigerator when they come home. So, I mean, you have a lot of options. The state capitol is just, 45, 50 miles down the road. It's centrally located. And, if you're a working family, it's not uncommon for mom to work at State Farm, dad will work down in Decatur, Caterpillar, somewhere like that, like I do. My ex-wife, she worked at State Farm, I worked at Caterpillar. Clinton made sense. It's centrally located. You don't have a lot of the problems that you have in some of the larger cities. You have a little bit, everything's cheaper here. You just don't have a lot of the headaches. So why would you not want to be here? Wow, And so most of you probably know my mom, Mary Ann. She did 31 years at Revere, retired the day it closed. So she got lucky. There, she worked R&R. If you don't know her, I'd be surprised. My dad was Darrell Staten, lived up in Wapella, and hey, here I am. And I'm currently a UAW member down at Caterpillar in Decatur. I've been down there for 18 years. I work in every 4-year-old's dream job. I do pre-delivery inspection, 988, 990, 992 wheel loaders. So I get to go out and drive a brand new wheel loader machine around the track, and then, to top it off, because this is like what every 4-year-old really enjoys. I mean, you got to play the cool machine, but then you get to come in and do the tell hey, you did that wrong, right? Because they all want to tell you what you did wrong. Before that, I worked at McElroy Metal. I did just shy of 5 years there. And then my start in the workforce was at Save-A-Lot. I was one of the original crew that opened the Save-A-Lot right across the street here, working for Dave Jackson. That was a lot of fun working for him, whenever I did it. Previously, in community involvement, I did a lot of work time in Scouts. I'm not involved with that anymore. I still got some family that's in there, so we're working to try to help them out a little bit here and there. And I was a member of the search and rescue team before it was disbanded just a couple years ago. I was a lieutenant on there, served with John Gergen on there. All right, so why am I running now? Okay, first off, I have time now. I have time, and that's a rare thing that somebody will say that I actually have time. It's kind of like a puddle on the floor, it expands. Fill up every crack and crevice that you have. And Clinton's been good to me. I should be putting something back into it more than I have. People of my generation, if you will look on most of your county boards, most of your city councils around in the area, I believe you will find a large age gap in there. Most of them are probably 60s, 70s. And there's not a lot of people in there that are 30s and their 40s. You get a few oddballs in there here and there, but not many. My age group has failed to step up, and I do not understand why. We need to be stepping up there while there's still some people around to teach us kind of the ropes on what's going on. And it's not a thing that this is the way it's always been, so this is the way we have to do it. More of a, this is what's worked in the past, this is what has not worked. Learn from that past and try to improve the future for what we have. And I'm not going to stand here and sugarcoat things either. If you know me for any amount of time, you know I'm a straight shooter. I'll tell you what to think, whether you want to hear it or not. You may not want to hear it, but I'm going to tell you the truth. This is a 2-year gig. That's what it is. This election is to fill out the balance of a 4-year term. There's 2 years remaining. Expectations need to be tempered a little bit as to what can realistically be accomplished in 2 years. The budget for 2025 is probably pretty much done. Most of the planning for 2025 is pretty much in the bag. The election is going to happen in April, take office middle of April there is when it would happen. So right there, that's 4 months out of the year that it's not gonna be there. So you're talking, there is a limited amount of time in what can be accomplished. Things can be done in that time, but you will not get accomplished in 2 years what you were wanting for. What my critical priorities I feel are, is that hospital an absolute critical priority? I would venture to guess that most people in this room know at least 1 or 2 people that would not be here today if that hospital was not there. Can it handle every problem we have? No, it cannot. But it can get you stabilized enough to travel. And it can get you somewhere to one of these surrounding towns that can take care of you better. And a lot of times that's enough to keep you alive. And that's the goal of the healthcare. The health hospital is doing a great job in recruiting some outside people coming in there now. You got some specialties coming in there. You have a lot of older people that can't drive. They don't want to drive out of town. They can go out there now and get a lot of their outpatient stuff done there. They're always adding capabilities in there. They're doing a lot of remodeling there. They're looking to improve and build. That's what we want. We are the only city that has a hospital that the city has a stake in it. It's probably why that hospital is still there. A private company, when they were losing money on that thing years ago, they'd have pulled up roots. I think it'd been an empty building. And we'd been hurting. But we have a stake in that hospital. And part of the mayor's job is that hospital board. Infrastructure here. The boil odor was a pain. It wasn't fun. That is how critical water is to us. The ice storm we had in '06, when we had power without power for weeks in some places. Infrastructure is not something that you laugh at. You turn the water on and it works. That's great. You flip the light switch and it works. You flush the toilet and things go where they're supposed to go. Not clogging up in your yard, hopefully. That's no fun. So you laugh a little bit, it's good. Infrastructure is vital. Some of the infrastructure underneath your feet was put in during the Depression. That stuff is coming up on 90, almost 100 years. We've far outgrown it. It's outlived its usefulness. The water tower that we're getting ready to replace, that was a works progress project, if I remember correctly. A lot of the water mains, the main lines in the town, that run down Quincy Street, yeah, it's probably Depression era stuff. It's getting near the end of its useful life. So that stuff has to be addressed. We have to keep building and growing. And we're running out of time?
Pretty close.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good, I guess. The number one thing the other thing we need to worry about is jobs. You had no idea how fortunate we were to get somebody coming into R. Donnelly as quickly as we did. Whew, that's a big savior right there. That's really helped us. Miller Container is still sitting empty though. Revere never went back to what it was when it was a manufacturing hub of the community. It had, 300, 400 jobs out there. And it was the backbone of the community. Trinity, when it was Thrallcar, was out there, was a huge employer. They're sitting idle. Those are critical things we have to find a way to fill. I don't have the answers to that. But I recognize that is a priority, not for just us, but for your kids. My girlfriend has 2 kids. I would love for them to have a good job so that they can stay in town. They don't have to go looking somewhere else. One of the other things I'd like to see is recycling come back to town. It's not as easy to take it somewhere and recycle it anymore. We used to have some curbside stuff. I don't think we have it anymore. If we have it, I'm not aware of it. Mayoral and several other communities have a community recycling thing. I'd kind of like to see if we can start moving in that direction and see what we can come up with. All right.
evening, everyone. I'm Helen Michelasi. For the first 25 years here in this community, I was Helen Brady. And I married that guy back there about 40 years ago and happily became a Michelasi. I'm really grateful to see all these folks out here on a blustery night so we can talk about things that are important. Important to everybody who's running and important to all of you. I wanted to be mayor for some time, for a number of years, but I worked full time. I still do. I'm retiring in June from the job I currently have as executive director of a not-for-profit. We serve persons with disabilities in 27 counties. We serve a little over 6,000 people every day. One of those counties being DeWitt. The job I have now, the previous job I've had, allowed me to gain a lot of experience that will transition well to the position of mayor. I currently manage a $9.2 million budget. I've been successfully writing grants for over 20 years. I've managed to successfully write grants in the amount of about $11.9 million. I manage that budget, the implementation of that budget, every day with our staff. I do the budget management of that. I do benefits negotiation every year for insurance for over 100 staff members. I work with the state leadership in the Senate and the House on a regular basis. I work with the state of Illinois as well. I have successfully managed to acquire many, many grants from the state and local foundation and agencies. I love my job because my job lets me help people. And it's tested my limits and what I can do. And I can tell you what I can do is look at a problem and pull together the people that can help address that problem. I won't have all the answers. Nobody in this room has all the answers. It's the ability to collaborate with others. It's ability to ask the right questions and then listen. The mayor of Clinton needs to listen. We need to listen to the people. I've been going out and meeting with people for months now, and when I meet them on their doorstep, I'm really fascinated by what they're telling me they care about. It's not just what I care about and what I think. There's a whole lot of people that live here, and it matters what all y'all think and what matters and what needs are for other folks, not just my lens and how I see things. I enjoy volunteering. My mother taught us to volunteer from the time you were this tall, you were out the door and helping someone else. I volunteered with food baskets the first time in 1985 and have pretty much every year since. We hand out about 300 food baskets every December to families who are struggling with life issues and just need a little hand up. I've worked with the Right Stuff for Kids. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that. It's a school supply program we started about 22 years ago, and we supply children in the county with everything they need in school supplies to go to school. Because we believe kids are successful when they have what they need to start school. A child who walks in without the essentials is going to struggle from that very first day. So that's been a very passionate project that I've worked with and been blessed to work with Right Stuff for Kids for a very long time. I think the mayor needs to be out in the community. I look forward to retiring in June because it gives me time to go out and promote the city. Clinton's a great place. I've lived here forever, since I was like that tall. So it's a great place, but we're not telling everybody else that enough. We have apple and pork here every single year. And it's hosted by the museum, and it's held in our house. It's held in our community, our great community. And we need to spend a little more time promoting that community when 80,000 visitors are here. We have great businesses. Mention the yarn shop, the fish store, all these great places that we have here that we're very fortunate. We need to be promoting them. And as mayor, I think the mayor needs to promote those businesses as well as the event to garner interest in this community. How do we get business back here? We show them how great we are. Why do families move here? Because we're a great city. We have a good school system. We have this phenomenal library. We're 3.5 miles from Weldon Springs, and we got Clinton Lake right over there. We have the museum. We have great families and terrific churches here. We need to promote that. The mayor needs to be out there saying, look at us, and look what we can do for you, and look what we can do for your family. I think we need a champion. I think the mayor has to be a champion for our community and everybody that's in it every day. That's what I think about that.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank for all the opponents. I think everyone has very valid points to bring out. Thank you. It takes a whole community to work together to bring what people want to achieve. And again, why thanking John, I want to thank you. You took some heat during this water situation. I think it was uncalled for, but thank you for all your hard work. Again, I'm Doug Tucker. I've lived in Clinton for 13 years now. I came from sales, traveled 10 states. With that, finally retired. So I do have time for mayor also. I'm originally from Paxton. With Paxton, I was lucky enough to be the very last baby born in Paxton. So community hospitals are very important. We've had to use our hospital a couple times here, and I find it very useful. As far as things that I've accomplished, well, I was on the county board with some heated things. Doug knows, and Doug Graves knows, as far as the water situation and how we had to fight the landfill to help protect our water. And that's extremely important. Water, you've got a good point. You can't live without water. Otherwise, on the county board, we took on and did some projects out at the marina to help improve quality for the people boating out there and such. With that said, I also got married to Misty. It'll be going on 10 years. And we have 5 children between us and 1 grandson that we're very proud of. Why we go around and discuss what all we all want to improve here in the town, I agree with every one of my opponents. We're all on the same page. And I think any one of them can do an excellent job. I really do. So it's who you feel the most comfortable with. One of the things I want to see accomplished is improving these streets. In traveling 10 states, I got to see a lot of streets. In that, I would say, our streets rank right up there as pretty poor, unfortunately. You'd be hard pressed to go down the street, a street, and go 50 to 75 feet without hitting a pothole. That's hard on your cars, by the way. Also, as far as the park districts, when I was a kid, we left the house at 8 o'clock in the morning. We didn't come back till dinner. Today's kids, all they want to do is sit on the couch, on their phones, or playing games. And I think that's really taken away, unfortunately, from their ability to work. So if we can improve these parks and such, get them outside, get them fresh air, we may have a better situation for future. Also, we're bringing on, as far as a new company coming into town. Now Wallace, I may need some help here. When Wallace closed their doors, there was what? Probably 75% of those people were ready to retire. This new company is wanting to bring on 100 people to start out with. So my question is, Where are these people going to come from? We've got to bring business in. Misty and I have the U-Haul place here in town. And I see a lot of people come, and I see a lot of people go. With that said, though, bringing people into town, are we prepared for it? Where are we going to put these people for housing? I think it's pretty common that rental houses, there's not a lot of rental. Both apartments or housing. We go on. When you're bringing in young people, these young people have children. Daycare definitely is a problem. So these are things that need to be looked at. Do I have all the answers? Absolutely not. I think with everyone's help, we can get the answers and work together to bring this on, to solve these.